Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Overnight, in the 4th anniversary of a war, Moscow attacked the country with a ballistic missile and 133 strike drones. Officials report casualties in several cities. Russian forces struck the outskirts of Zaporizhia with guided aerial bombs. One person was injured on private property. In other settlements across the region, 5 people were wounded in the attacks, including 1 child. In Kharkiv, 2 people were killed in a Russian airstrike. A guided aerial bomb hit a residential building. 3 additional civilians were hospitalized with injuries. Turning to the front line, analysts report that Russian forces are trying to block Liman as part of an effort to encircle Sloviansk from the north. Although Russian advances remain minimal, experts say the situation in this sector continues to deteriorate. Fighting has already begun inside of Liman. Russian units have entrenched on the southeastern outskirts of the city and are attempting to push into its southern districts. In the same sector, southwest of Seversk, the analytical project Deep State recorded further Russian advances. Ukrainian researchers consider this direction one of the most threatening for Ukrainian defense. According to available assessments, the Russian command aimed to approach Sloviansk and Kramatorsk from the east. As Russian forces move forward, their front line narrows, allowing them to concentrate troops more effectively. Analysts say the prospects of a potential Russian offensive towards the Sloviansk-Kramatorsk region will depend on the current pace of Russians' advance and the deployment of reserves. Such an operation would require significantly greater forces than those used in the battle for Pokrovsk and Marinograd. Researchers suggest the Russian command may be preparing to scale back offensive activity on other fronts. Capturing these cities carries strategic importance and could be presented as a decisive victory in the war. Today marks 4 years since Russia attempted to capture Kyiv in 3 days. 4 years since the beginning of the full-scale invasion that was meant to be a swift victory, but instead became the longest and most exhausting war in Europe since World War II. For 4 years now, Putin has faced one strategic failure after another, having achieved none of his original objectives. For Ukraine, this war did not begin in February 2022. It has been going on since 2014, since the annexation of Crimea and the invasion of Donbas. For Russia, what was branded a special military operation has turned into a war lasting longer than what the Soviet Union called the Great Patriotic War, and it has already cost hundreds of thousands of lives. It is widely believed that Moscow did not plan for a prolonged conflict. The strategy was based on the military tactic of blitzkrieg, rapid advances, paralysis of Ukrainian leadership, regime change, and a swift transition to an occupational model. The expectation was to replicate the secession of Crimea, only on a much larger scale. The first crucial turning point was the defense of Kyiv. The capital stood firm. Kyiv was supposed to become a symbol of capitulation, but instead became a symbol of resistance. The second major milestone was the 2022 counteroffensive. The liberation of large part of the Kharkiv region and the return of the right bank of the Kherson region demonstrated that Russia was capable not only of advancing, but also retreating. Losing the bridgehead on the western bank of the Dnieper River deprived Russian forces of key strategic opportunities in the south and reshaped the front line. What began as a maneuver-based war driven by speed and surprise gradually turned into a war of fortified positions. Today, it is a war of adaptation, technological competition, resources, and endurance. Russia did not anticipate such a prolonged confrontation. It assumed the Ukrainian state would quickly lose cohesion and that resistance would be short-lived. Paradoxically, even Western intelligence services, while accurately predicting Moscow's intention, overestimated Russia's capabilities and underestimated Ukraine's ability to resist. Many expected Kyiv to fall quickly. It did not. After 4 years of full-scale invasion, the Russian Federation has occupied and controlled about 20% of Ukraine's territory. Today, Ukraine continues to fight for its territory and its strategic future. Many analysts see 2026 as a potential point of serious financial strain for Russia. Yet, while politicians travel from capital to capital seeking diplomatic solutions, in the very heart of Europe, Ukrainian soldiers continue to hold the line. They are containing the army of a state that sought to change borders by force, and as long as this struggle continues, Ukrainian soldiers are not only defending their own country, but the security of the entire European space so that millions of people can live their homes without waking up to the sound of explosions. Ukrainian UAV operators from the 80th Separate Airborne Assault Brigade carried out a precision strike on an enemy warehouse storing dozens of pieces of equipment and a large stockpile of drones. According to preliminary data, there were about 10 vehicles and around 10,000 FPV drones at the facility ready for use on the front lines. These are the same drones the enemy uses to attack Ukrainian military positions, equipment, and logistics. Pokrovsk, one of the hottest spots on the front line. This video shows the rescue of a soldier from the Rubizh Special Operations Brigade who was wounded by a bullet while repelling an enemy assault. The battle unfolded at close range, and after the soldier was wounded, his comrades immediately organized his evacuation. In such situations, time is measured in minutes, and every second is critical. Medical assistance was provided during transport, tourniquets, condition checks, bleeding control, and all on the move and under the threat of renewed shelling. It is this kind of coordination, combat resilience, and rapid medical response that saves lives.
Чуть буде болять і попустить, все нормально. Считай, поїхали, дорога нормальна. Зараз дві короткі зробимо все. Тримайся, тримайся, тримайся. Все буде добре. Скільки ти кажеш, завалив сьогодні? Молодець, термінатор. Друже, чуть-чуть руку вверх, можеш від сюди? Давай сюди. Цю вверх, отак, да. Тримаю. Тримаю. Все, бачу, є. Чуть-чуть буде больно. Щас, секунду, друже, секунду, все буде нормально. Щас мотаємо, все. О. Секунду, друже, секунду. Тримайся, все буде добре. Тримайся, все добре. Ти молодець. Ти уже козак. Ми тебе вивезли.
Чого з 8 ранку?
Ми тебе вивезли, друже, все нормально. Сам зробив собі щось?
Ні, я не міг.
Не міг?
Не міг.
Нічого.
Я багато крові втратив.
Нічого. Молодець. Боєць, всі би так. Друже, всі би так. Все, тримаю. Все, чуть-чуть, зараз, буквально. Зараз перекинемо тебе на евак і їдеш. Все нормально, все, друже, чуть-чуть, хвилинка.
In the rear area, the Russian army has set up a large-scale underground headquarters, which, according to descriptions, features kilometers of tunnels. The published footage shows long fortified corridors, bridge passages, command posts, living quarters, and technical rooms. The walls are reinforced with concrete structures, and the ceilings are multi-layered, designed to protect against airstrikes and high-precision weapons. Ventilation, autonomous power supply, and field communication system are all visible, all intended to ensure continuous control of units even during active drone attacks.
Вот совершенно уникальное место. По этим туннелям подземного командного пункта на УАЗике можно ездить. Да что там на УАЗике? Здесь танки легко пройдут. В группировке «Восток» 36-ю бригаду в шутку называют метростроевской. Километры тоннелей нарыли.
Но мы еще углубились еще ниже, чтобы было уже совсем, так сказать, безопасно.
Вверху сколько метров?
Еще 3 метра сверху.
А что там, бетонные плиты?
Там бетонные плиты, плюс перекрытия деревянные и плюс еще накат земли, чтобы не было никаких ударов химарсов и авиабомб, да, чтобы можно было выдержать, соответственно, это масштабный удар.
В сердце подземного командного пункта ситуационный центр с десятками мониторов, на которые в онлайн-режиме передается картинка с дронов-разведчиков и ударных коптеров.
And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.